What I want to talk to you about today is creating longevity for you and your community. How do you prioritize a regimen? How do you decide what is best for you, your family, and your customers? Well, you have to get inside why people do what they do. So I want to ask this question. What is it that keeps a healthy person healthy and a sick person sick? It is, in fact, their habits, their daily choices. The choice is yours. You can come home at night from a difficult day at work, a difficult day, whatever you're doing, and you can choose to fold yourself onto a couch, or you can choose to take a walk. Find yourself or find your health. Because what we know is that small habits compound over time. I love what this author, James Clear, talks about. He wrote a book on productivity called The Atomic Habits. And he talks about 1% improvement in your productivity, in your brain capacity, in your movement, and what you can achieve by doing just a little bit more each day. And he speaks about what will happen if you just have a 1% decrease or decline in your function or your daily habits. Because what do we often say? Oh, this won't be any big deal. I'm just going to, this just happens every once in a while, right? And then all of a sudden, accidentally on purpose, you're eating donuts, right? So small habits compound over time. You know, we think about Olympians and those that go for the gold and what they're looking to do. Well, they don't just talk about or think about grabbing the gold or crossing the finish line. In fact, presumably what brings each and every one of them there is the exact same thing. The discipline, the dedication, the getting up, and the 1% improvement in their skill each and every day. I want to ask you guys a question. If I were to give each and every one of you $1 million, or at least a choice, I actually can't give each and every one of you $1 million, but if I were to give one of you a choice, how would you answer this? I'll give you walk away $1 million today, or I will double the value of a penny that I give you each and every day. Most people, most customers will choose the walk away $1 million, and they would have chosen wrong. Because this is all about compounding interest. This is all about 1% improvement, as James Clear discusses. This is all about changing a little bit. Because after 30 days, you will not have $1 million. You'll have $5.3 million, because this is always about doubling. And if you'll just give me one more day, you will have $11 million. What I want your customers and you to understand is days 1 through days 26. That is negligible. It's flatlined, really. And that's often what we have to get across to people when it comes to supplementation. This is what we have to get across to people when we say, I want you to take a multivitamin consistently. I want you to take an antioxidant every day. I want you to invest in yourself. And they'll say, when am I going to notice the results? How come it doesn't work just like that? And you have to explain to them this compounding interest or this theory of compounding interest, that you will never know the disaster you averted by simply improving your health each and every day and taking a step to do that. So they'll ask, do I need to supplement? Is it necessary for me to do that each and every day? And I say it is. You live in a fairly toxic world. About 800,000 new chemicals are introduced to your environment each and every year, right? You are not getting the sleep you need. You are not often eating the food that you should, right? And so we think about what are some of these small incremental changes that people can make to achieve health. What I talk to them about, in fact, is that the cost of a good habit is in the present. The cost of that supplement, that cost of waking up early, that cost of doing more and just saying, well, I guess we better do this then. And the cost of a bad habit is in the future. Let's be honest, right? When we think about why do people do bad things, no one sets out to do bad things. Why do they do it then? Because donuts taste awesome. That's why we do it, because A bad habit often feels fantastic. And a good habit often feels hard, like waking up early or going to bed on time, right? So we know why people do what they do, so we have to ask them about their investments. What are you willing to invest your time in? Presumably, if you're a parent, you're investing your time in your kids. You want to make sure that they do well academically, that they do well socially, that they grow up to be the valuable human being and reach all of their potential. And you're willing to invest your time there. Why do we run into people that are not willing to invest their time in themselves, in their health, in their supplementation? Because it's never been framed like that to them. That it is the same value that we're putting on their health, the same value that they put on their children's health. When we think about growing old, aging, and longevity, you simply need to do the same things you told your kids to do. Go to bed on time, eat your vegetables, make sure you run around and pick up heavy things and put them back down again. No. Doctor, you don't understand. This is all genetic, they'll tell me. No, you shouldn't worry about me. Type 2 diabetes runs in my family. Elevated blood pressure, well, that runs in my family. Obesity, that runs in my family. No one runs in your family. That's why we're talking about this. And yet, to focus on one thing is to create an imbalance. Ask any athlete if they would only work on one skill set, only on one skill, or would they require a diversity of skills to perform at the level that they do? And yet, you'll often run into people with supplementation that will say, I really want to focus on my bone mineral density, or I want to make sure that I have a healthy heart, or I'm really concerned with focus, and so can we start there? Well, what I want to talk about is that you have to build a solid foundation of nutrition, of healthy sleep, healthy exercise, healthy diet, right? But it's important to note, in particular when you're talking to your customers, that there's a difference between focusing on one thing and getting started with one thing. Jump on the opportunity to get started with one thing. The 3 non-negotiables for healthy living, healthy longevity, and being your very best in your 9th decade of life is to make sure that you're paying attention to exercise. Make sure that you're getting a good night's sleep and that your diet is sound. So what are the consequences of not exercising? Frailty. Now, for many of you, when I use the word frail, you're thinking of this. And you're not thinking of this. When in fact, an individual without sufficient muscular mass, an individual that struggles with cognitive function, right? An individual that is not feeding themselves well, sleeping well, moving well, ends up creating a loss of metabolic reserves. They end up creating a frailty. Whether that demonstrates itself as immune dysfunction, it demonstrates itself as cognitive concerns, it demonstrates itself as premature aging. It starts with focusing on those 3 factors of fitness, diet, and sleep. Why is sleep so important? Because those that do not have metabolic concerns. They may have elevated inches or centimeters around their middle, hips, and thighs. They definitely have concerns with stress hormones like cortisol, and a tug-of-war between hunger hormones and satiety hormones like ghrelin and leptin. As a result, they may have concerns with inflammation, an environment that creates inflammation. They may have concerns as it relates to sex hormones or libido. They definitely have a reduction in quality of life. In fact, lack of sleep is your #1 hormone disruptor. So I often will tell people, diet isn't where you get started. Sleep is where you get started. You make sure that you are sleeping well. Simply go to bed at the same time each night and wake up at the same time each morning. If you have trouble doing that, things like isotonic magnesium with 2 different forms of magnesium, a glycinate and a citrate form, gentle on the stomach, highly bioavailable. Maybe you want a formula that was specifically made to support going to sleep and waking up feeling refreshed, like the turn down. Or you're looking for something like Prime Sleep Melatonin Plus, because you know that melatonin is a brain hormone. It's something that can support your overall health and well-being. Make sure when you're talking to customers that they understand the power of the formula, the power of the ingredient. See, melatonin is a neurohormone and therefore plays a role in the interplay of other hormones in the body. One that may surprise you is its relationship with human growth hormone. Have you ever wondered why we take HGH secretagogue at night? Right? Because HGH, or your human growth hormone, naturally increases while you sleep. But it needs to be functioning well with melatonin. Those that do not sleep do not repair, do not create that metabolic reserve I was talking about that allows them to have robust energy the next day. So you may not identify yourself as someone that needs to get a good night's sleep or needs a sleep supplement. Yet, if you are above the age of 40, your slow wave sleep has declined, meaning that your risk or concerns with cognitive function can be supported by simply working with a product like Prime Melatonin. Take it 2 times a week. If you're above the age of 40, even if you don't have concerns with sleep, your brain would benefit from a balance of hormones. I know, it's complicated, right? We often talk to people about securing a healthy diet, doing something that is good for them, and they find it hard to make dietary changes. And that's why we find things like the diversity of ingredients in the isotonic essentials is critical for them, because they have a hard time making a change, right? What is it? The cost of a good habit is right now in the present. Start thinking about how supplementation may be the easy button for them. How if they find it difficult to make a change, just like if they found it difficult to get a good night's sleep, the supplementation may help them reach their goals. It may be that 1% incremental change that allows them to achieve that longevity goal that they have. So whether it's anti-aging, because that is your one swing at health. It's got a complete multivitamin, coenzyme Q10, zinc tartrate, or carnitine for the brain, right? It is your one-stop shop for a healthy multivitamin. For that person that says, I don't want to take a lot of supplements, I just want one thing. Or maybe you're a woman that wants to have the support of the Women's Health multivitamin because of libido, sleep, hormone balance, those things that stress you throughout the day. And so you want a multivitamin that was formulated specifically with you. Or you want the granddaddy of them all, right? The daily essentials, where you have 4 of our powerhouse ingredients. When you're talking to your customers, consider what is novel, consider what is relevant, and consider what is universal. When I'm talking about novelty, I'm talking about the isotonic delivery system, something that they can only get from you. Or maybe I'm talking about the power of the ingredients that we put behind our products, the evidence that supports not just results, but function in our products. Making sure that your customers know you're not a me-too product, but in fact, a go-to product. Speak about the novelty, what you bring to the table. Isotonic Immune is a great example of this. Well-immune ingredient, we now have this in a 300-gram bottle. What I want you to do is not just talk to people about what is relevant, their immune health, right? But I want you to also talk about the fact that their mental health is relevant, that their longevity is relevant. What you may not know about this product is that the well-immune ingredient, studies on the well-immune ingredient, were done on athletes, executives, people that stress themselves out. They burn the candle at both ends. So whether you're an executive or a parent, there's a good chance you're pushing yourself mentally and physically. And the well-immune ingredient was specifically studied to support immune health in these individuals, making it a performance product for those that are concerned about lifestyle that may interfere with their immune system. We created a product that was perfect to take every day because you have stress every day and you want to support your immune system, because you may be pushing your body physically and you want to support your immune system. So I want you to share with your customers that this is not a occasional product, but in fact one that fits in with the lifestyle that they are currently living or could help them achieve the lifestyle that they want in the future. Now, we talk a lot about our powerful ingredients. I'd like to talk a little bit about the new ones with you. The Heart Health, Blood Pressure, and Vascular Support product, the NeuroFocus, and the Premium Wellbeing Tea. The Premium Wellbeing Tea is this perfect solution from the tip of your head to the tips of your toes lifestyle product. You are likely in your business going to run into people that say, I don't take supplements. I don't take nutraceuticals. I don't do that. I live healthy, right? Or I don't need supplementation. This is a perfect solution for them because what they have already told you is that they want to commit to wellness, and they do it through diet and through lifestyle. So instead of offering them a product, I want you to talk to them about a lifestyle solution for them, like a well-being tea. It meets their needs because we put 100% organic ingredients in this product, like lemon peel, ginger root, and spearmint for digestive health, blood flow, and taste. Now, we put an amazing ingredient in this product called ashwagandha. Many of you are familiar with ashwagandha and its benefits when it comes to stress, when it comes to hormones like thyroid, when it comes to benefit of keeping you moving throughout the day. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic botanical that can help push the gas when you need it and put on the brakes when you need to cool things off. It's an adaptogen that has that dual model like Mark was talking about, so that you can have that kind of sense of robust energy throughout the day. Looking at this refreshing blend for those individuals that want a solution that's not a supplement, people that are just looking for balance throughout the day, want something that can support the balance throughout the day, but also their gut, blood flow, and healthy aging, because we put a botanical in here called chaste tree. These are the types of things that you want to talk to them about. These are the reasons why you want to attend the new product breakout tonight, so that you are able to get some real nuggets, some information about these products. What do you think of when I say, get on a treadmill, or I need you to start doing more cardio? Do you think chug, 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 chug? Okay, she told me I have to do this, right? Well, I want you to know that there's a reason why cardiovascular exercise is so highly recommended, because the body has a common currency. It's called blood flow. It's called oxygen. Right? So we created a product to support healthy blood flow, to support blood pressure within healthy ranges. And whether it's someone that's concerned about ranges for their age group or for their exercise or fitness level. We built a powerful combination of grapeseed extract and lycopene, so that you would have a diversity of antioxidants, flavonoids, stilbenes. Yep, those are the ones that are anti-aging antioxidants, and carotenoids like lycopene, providing that peak antioxidant and cellular support for you. What I love about this product is that we built it with athletes in mind. We built it with people that wanted to have youthful vitality in mind. We didn't just think about those that wanted to support healthy blood pressure levels. With the combination of these ingredients, we can support lipids, vascular integrity, whether that means blood flow to the brain or blood flow to the muscles, which means we're talking about exercise and fitness as well. So when you think about the blood vascular support product, I want you to think about individuals' quality of life. Because blood flow, oxygenation, that is the body's currency for longevity. So getting blood flow throughout the body is essential for quality of life. Whether quality of life to you means a clear head or it means healthy libido, making sure that you're paying attention to all your well-being factors. Remember, don't focus on just one thing. I imagine many of you feel the way this woman does. There are so many innovations out there. But keep in mind, with all of these incredible innovations comes extra mental demand. And that extra demand on our cognitive reserves, on our mental reserves, starts to limit our focus. Did you know that productivity research shows that 70% of workers today feel that they are distracted on the job? Over 50% report that their distractions come from non-productive emails and non-productive meetings. The biggest group that have issues with this focus are millennials and Gen Zs. It takes a worker 23 minutes to get back onto a task after someone just pops in to say hi, right? That water cooler talk that is not adding anything to your day, but is adding to your workload. So how do you bring focus back? Well, with this trademarked ingredient, Neurovena, green oat extract. In fact, we put L-tyrosine and Neurovena, the green oat, together in this product to support norepinephrine and dopamine. Whether you have concerns with extra weight, you don't sleep well, you're overly stressed, or you are of an advancing years, dopamine starts to decline. And that means that your get-her-done neurotransmitter is also declining. See, dopamine got a bad rap. People think of it as being the hyperactive neurotransmitter, when in fact it is your I can get things done, I can stay focused, I can be productive. But there needs to be a balance there, which is why we created a nootropic product the way that we did. The modern world requires you to be constantly multitasking. So if you're going to have to constantly be multitasking, you want to be able to spin all those plates effectively. You want to be able to perform at your highest level. And that's why we created the NeuroFocus product, so that healthy adults could have that cognitive control, that mental or cognitive flexibility. I know what you might be thinking about now. How in the world do I prioritize this, right? Well, if you don't know what to recommend, I think you should recommend the Nutrophysical. The Nutrophysical was built off of 8 pillars, 8 quizzes that do something magical for you. They make sure that you do not have to guess what your customer is looking for, but instead allow them to take the Nutrophysical so they can tell you what they're looking for. You may think they need to get started with cognitive support, right? And you find out by the way they take the quiz, they actually wanted to get started with sexual health and well-being, cognitive health and well-being. They wanted to get started with weight loss. And you never have to ask that question, right? Do you have a couple of pounds you need to lose? Let Nutrophysical help them answer that question and tell you what products they're looking for. Allow us to do something for you. We created the Essential 9 campaign. The Essential 9 campaign was built so that if any of your customers had purchased one of our Essential 9 products, the OPC3, a multivitamin, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, or activated B complex, magnesium, coenzyme Q10, probiotics 10, or the NutriClean fiber powder, any of them. They would be put into an email drip campaign that would encourage them to take one of the other 8 products, would tell them why they should do it, and would let you know as an unfranchised owner that they are starting to shop through your portal. We simply are following up because we know that that's where the magic happens. When you think about prioritizing for your customers, I want you to consider using what I call the 60-30-10 rule. Spend 60% of your time on the universals, the foundations, the omegas, the antioxidants, the multivitamins. Get people started and committed. Then you can talk to them about the 30%. Why? Because when people start taking the 60% products, like your standard fare, the B complex of vitamin D, you now know that they are committed to supplementation. And now you can start talking to them about sexual health, about a better night's sleep, about those types of things falling into place. And I want you to do it in this order, because if you don't set a healthy foundation, it doesn't matter how special the formula is, it's not going to course correct for them. They need to commit to the foundations, like a daily essentials. The best part of the 10% here is that it allows you to take their physiologic potential, and move it up a notch. The 10% are the unique products, the ones you have a hard time describing what they do. Make sure that you're really good at the 60%. Your customers will start asking you about the 30%. And now you can move into learning more about the 10%. You are, in fact, the difference. So make sure you know your story. Make sure you know your favorite product. And you don't have to talk about the science. You just have to talk about why you love it and why you'll never be without it. What's yours? Mine's Oxygen Extreme. I literally travel with it everywhere I go. It's always with me because I never want to not have a day where I take that product. It makes all the difference in the world to how I feel. And I didn't have to tell anyone it had green ECGCs in it. Green tea, I didn't have to tell anyone it has ginkgo biloba. I didn't have to talk about silymarin or ask anyone to spell it. I just had to tell them I won't go a day without it. And it makes all the difference in the world. One of the most impactful things you can do is if you can't or you don't have your story, know somebody else's. Make sure that they hear from someone just like them. It is, as I said, within your capacity to find help. What is critically important, what I really want to impress on you, is that it is critically important that you do. I want you to know you can do hard things. I would love to have you help me welcome my guest to the main stage. Many of you know and love her, and I want you to hear from her if you've never met Dr. Tamara Weinstein. Dr. Tamara Weinstein is a board-certified clinical nutritionist. She's a doctor of physical therapy. She's been in service to her patients for the last 26 years. She's a very successful and franchise owner. Many of you, as I said, know her through her trainings. Please help me welcome Dr. Weinstein to the main stage.
Comment.
Good to see you.
Too.
Big welcome.
So great to be here. Thank you.
You know, Tamara, this is one of the things that comes up quite a bit, which is this idea of how do we help people change habits. And I know you are such a gem to your organization. You're such a gem, obviously, to your community. But what I think many people don't know about you is as a doctor of physical therapy, what I have found in my experience, doctor, is that many times when people hear physical therapy, they go, oh, I hope I never have to see you, because if I'm seeing a physical therapist, I was in an accident.
Right.
And what they don't know is that your background, in fact, is in cardiometabolic rehab. And that it has a lot to do with the way people spent their days if they're going to see you.
Yes.
So tell me and tell us more about creating wellness within a person with what you found with our product line.
Okay, great. So as Dr. Mason just said, it's all about longevity and health and starting with those basic steps. So when people come to me for service, I really educate on eating healthy, exercising, get a good night's sleep, managing stress, right? It's a whole lifestyle component. And so when I'm working with patients that have cardiometabolic issues, that's where I focus. So I'm not treating patients from a car accident.
The point here is that you've done something in rehab. You've done something in helping them achieve their health that I think a lot of people maybe in your position are not doing, which is getting them to change those habits. Getting them to understand that you're not going to do all the work, but in fact you're in partnership with them to help them do that work.
Right.
They're likely asking you questions. What do I do to stay healthy? And I think the only reason one of the reasons why they do that is knowing that you can answer that question. You've definitely put yourself on the map as someone that's willing to have the conversation about nutrition,
right.
A conversation about healthy living, a conversation about living well into our later decades of life.
Yes.
Can you give us kind of a story, something where you've really made that change, that you've really moved it from the clinic to the community?
Sure. So I did start in practice in a hospital-based setting in Manhattan. I went out into private practice on my own, and what I really found is that, first of all, I love to teach. Education is key, right? And educating my patients was really important to me. And so I went out into the community, and I started doing more and more education in the community. And what I found when I found Nootrometrics is that I could spread this information of living a healthy lifestyle, right? Adding those supplements in to fill those gaps in the diet where the diet falls short, but not only to fill in the gaps of the diet, but really to optimize health. And so getting out into the community and expanding in that realm and educating really was very important to me, and that's where I've been spending a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about what makes the difference, if we were to talk to everyone that's visiting us here today about what is your next step, what is one thing that you can do that's going to get you closer to that health goal? I talked about my favorite product or one of my favorite products, and I won't put you on the spot just yet with that question. But is there one thing that you would encourage people to talk to their customers about? Something that if you can move this much closer to that goal line, you're going to start to see some of those results.
Sure. I think it's really important for all of you to realize what you have in your hands with this company and with these amazing products. You know, when I started working with Market America, I was introduced to the products, and I did my due diligence. I did a lot of homework and research, and I made a conscious decision to incorporate these products into my practice to help my patients. I have to tell you guys, you heard this morning from Mark Ashley when he went through all of that quality control, how all of these products are formulated, right? And I know you've played a huge role in the formulations as well. So you have to understand that you have the best products that are formulated just the way they should be, with the active ingredients that were clinically studied, have the synergistic ingredients that go along with them at what we call a therapeutic amount. So they work. So I want you guys to all feel really comfortable recommending these products to yourself, your family, to your customers out there, because you can actually pay it forward and help so many more people. And that's what I've been doing with Nootrometrics.
No, I agree. And I think Nootrometrics is a brilliant way to start doing that, because it brings, with a practitioner as yourself, that kind of credibility to the, what are we going to do when we move them out? How are we going to keep our patients, our customers, our families, our community, right, healthy in between office visits? One thing that definitely comes up is prioritizing. I tried to kind of bring up that topic, and I'd love it if we could go back and forth a bit about that. When it comes to helping someone prioritize, it's not just about taking that step forward and getting the next step started, but is there a way you say, listen, there's all of this that you need to take, but how are we going to drill that down to where you're going to get started? What does that conversation look like?
And that's something that my patients always ask. Where do I begin? There's so much out there, right? It could be overwhelming. And you guys all know we have such a vast amount of products to pick and choose from. So for me, what I always do first and foremost is I ask the person I'm working with, what are your goals? What are your goals to achieve for your own personal health? And let's start there. And if I have patients that come and tell me that they have concerns of cardiovascular health or metabolic health, that's where I'm going to start and then build from there, right? So it's all customizable from that standpoint to meet people where they are. If you're trying to encourage them to do things that they're not ready for, they're not going to be compliant, right? So you have to meet people where they are and kind of hone it down into what's most important. What I find that's so amazing is that when people take these products, they feel them. Then they come back and say, what else can I take? Right? I'm feeling great. I need more. And that's when we come back to the Essential 9, right?
So
and grow from
that's
there.
a perfect segue. And I don't mean to what we're going to talk about, but that's the way that we want to make sure people understand is when we meet them where they're at, when they get what they're asking for because we listened, right? They often will come back, even if it's not the product with the highest BV, or it's not your favorite product. It is the product that's going to resonate with them and allow them then to say, what else do you have? So you know what's coming next, right? I would love to hear your favorite product because people love to follow, not just follow in your footsteps, right? But when people are healthy, they say, I want a guide map to that, or I want a roadmap to that. What is your favorite product?
Oh God, I have so many, it is so hard to pick. I wouldn't go a day without my Omegas, my Curcumin Extreme, my Astaxanthin, my Axe, I can name them all. But if I had to pick one product, I would have to probably pick the Isotonics Anti-Aging. And the reason I would pick that one is really because there's so many nutrients in there, and you did a fantastic job helping formulate that. I remember when you pulled it together. It's a great all-in-one, right? So that one box of essentials, anti-aging essentials, has a full serving of your vitamin D3. It's got your K2. It's got your coenzyme Q10 for cardiovascular support. It's got your magnesium. It's got your isochrome. So it's a fantastic starting place, I find, for most people, and I personally take it every day.
That is absolutely brilliant. Everyone, help me say thank you to Dr. Weinstein for her time here today. I have such a great treat for you, as if Dr. Tomorrow was not treat enough. I want to introduce you to an incredible person. I think it's appropriate at this point to say an incredible human being, because his mission is to support wellness across all spans of health. He is an international speaker. He is Gary Brecka, and I'd like you to hear from Gary a little bit about his mission.
My name is Gary Brecka. I'm a human biologist and biohacker, and I am absolutely obsessed with the physiology of the human body and how we can optimize its form, function, and performance. I've traveled the world to learn from the globe's leading pioneers in regenerative medicine, and I've helped more than 10,000 people unleash their true human potential by giving them a roadmap to optimal health. And today, I'm blessed to share what I've learned with all of you.
That's right. A huge round of applause and an introduction to Gary Brecka, human biologist. You know, reading about you, Gary, and us having the fortune of talking over the last handful of months, one of the things that's really stood out to me isn't just that you're a functional medicine practitioner, not just that you work with a team of leading experts in the field of rejuvenation, but in fact, that this concept that is so trendy right now, which is this idea of biohacking, right? I need to get by on less. How can I be more productive with less sleep? How can I just do this and then somehow be able to do more but not have to put in the work? How many people have you met that are looking for a shortcut? And one of the things that I loved when I was in conversations with you is you continue to fall back to this idea of how do we get and really amplify human potential safely? Yes. How do we do it effectively? How do we do it appropriately? How do we make meaningful change in someone's physiology, in someone's longevity factors? And I just fell in love with every one of the conversations as and Gary will tell you that as we would talk on the phone, he'd be, I mean, I know on the other end, he was like, and that's right, and that's right.
We eat each other's face.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, you need to stop talking because now I'm going to do it. And he said, no, you need to stop talking because now I've got something
I got something to say. No, you got something to say.
Yeah, exactly. Gary, tell us exactly where this all began for you and where you think this can go for so many of us.
It's so interesting because as soon as I talk about what I used to do, people immediately become more interested in what I used to do for 22 years than what I do today. So it's like having a really good professional basketball player as a brother. Everybody wants to talk to him. But so for the better part of 22 years, I was a mortality expert. I was a mortality expert for the insurance industry, which meant that if I got 5 years of your medical records and 5 years of demographic data on you, I could tell the insurance company how many more months you had left on Earth. Not where you were on an actuarial curve, not where you were as a 51-year-old male or a 32-year-old female or an 81-year-old male, exactly how many more months you had left on Earth. In fact, when I retired from that industry, I was one of only 5 certified expert witnesses in federal court for litigation related to that space. So I got really, really, really good at predicting death. And the way that we did it was not through the standard models that were available at the time that I got into the industry. You know, every single person in this room is on an actuarial curve somewhere, right? But if an insurance company is about to put $10 million worth of life insurance on you or bind $1 million or $10 million annuity, they don't care where you are on the actuarial curve. They want to know how many more months does this person have left on Earth. And sometimes this was a 30-year-old or 25-year-old or 38-year-old male or female in perfect health. How do you know how many more months they have left on Earth? Well, we sat in a room with a bunch of really intelligent people, and we realized that every single human being leaves this Earth exactly the same way. We all die of the same thing. Every human being dies of something called hypoxia, lack of oxygen to the brain. Only we think of it as an event, like a heart attack or a gunshot or a bus, but it's not an event. This is something that all of us, we're all on a hypoxic curve. We are either steeply or slowly or barely sliding into the grave. And what we learned after 22 years of research and a population database of 370 million lives, if I was to boil 22 years of research into mortality on 370 million lives, I could boil it down to a single sentence. And this sentence may be the most profound single sentence you ever hear in your lifetime in terms of its impact on how long you will be on this planet and how many healthy years you will be on this planet. It will have a greater impact on when disease begins and how quickly it progresses in your body. It will have a greater impact on your longevity, your mortality, your health, your fitness, your waking energy, your cognitive function, the depth of your delta wave of sleep, your libido, or your response to exercise. Does anybody want the sentence? No, thank you. It's this. The presence of oxygen is the absence of disease. The presence of oxygen is the absence of disease. That sounds simple, but what I realized as I started to interact with this company and with Dr. D and with the clinical team here, and when I started to actually look at your product formulations, I was awestruck by the magnetism of your clinical team that has actually already figured that out for you. And I didn't even take the stage to endorse your products, all right? I've torn a lot of products to shreds. Trust me, if you look at my Instagram, I'm not kind to a lot of companies and a lot of products. But what this team has done for you and for the people that you serve, because really you are serving humanity, right? You're not here to be wealthy, you're here to impact people's well-being. In fact, I love the fact that you have products named well-being, right? Because if you look at the clinical research on some of the formulations that you have at your disposal, you will find that the word well-being comes up over and over and over again. You don't use raw products like folic acid. You use 5,10-methylene tetrahydrofolate.
That's right.
Only geeks like me appreciate that, but your body appreciates it, right? Use pyridoxine 5-phosphate, not just a B6 vitamin. You use methylated forms of vitamins. You've gone the extra step to make certain that the body can utilize these ingredients to better transport oxygen, to better bring oxygen into the cell. And in fact, when we would predict someone's mortality, we would always rank the top 3 things that were impacting how quickly they would meet their demise. And in 95% of those cases, they were what's called modifiable risk factors. Does anyone know what a modifiable risk factor means? It means you can change it. It means you can change it. Which meant if I had the ability to talk to that person, by the way, what finally made me leave that career was I was not allowed by law. It's a felony for me to either contact the patient or contact the physician treating that patient, even if I saw life-threatening drug interactions, which I did. The third leading cause of death in America is medical error. I'm not making that up. It's one thing to believe that the third leading cause of death is medical error. It's another thing to believe that the industry that's responsible for the prevention of death is responsible for the third highest number of deaths. I mean, does that like make your head like just twist you kind of in a knot? So knowing that that is the foundation, what we decided was we would look at these risk factors and we would say, how well is this person transporting oxygen? How well is the oxygen making it into their cell? What is their body deficient in that is causing them to reduce their oxidative state? By the way, does anyone know the difference between anger and passion? One neurotransmitter and the presence of oxygen. That's it. The reason why no human being has ever woken up laughing is you don't have enough oxygen in your blood when you're in delta wave of sleep to wake up laughing. Can you wake up angry? Yes, I can pinch you when you're dead asleep. You can instantly access anger because anger doesn't take oxygen. Those emotions are readily available. But if you want to elevate your emotional state, if you want to elevate your mood, you need to increase the amount of oxygen in your blood. And not just by breathing, but by using products that actually help oxygen get into the cell, leave the blood and enter the cell. In fact, what I'm going to do before we leave here today, if you'd like, is I will give you a breathing technique that I want all of you to do tomorrow morning for 8 minutes. All right. We're going to take the kindling that you guys have from these products, and we're going to pour gasoline on it. And then if you want, I'll tell you how to throw the match, right? Tomorrow, this time tomorrow, you will be superhuman because we will change the oxidative state of your blood. By the way, do you know that the difference, has anybody ever heard of the little powerhouse, little battery inside the cell? Not you. You can't choose.
I've heard about it, okay.
The mitochondria, you ever heard of the mitochondria? Okay. You know what the mitochondria does? It's a powerhouse of the cell, right? It's a powerhouse of the cell. So you know the mitochondria has a motor, right? It's like a car, it has a motor. And this motor's spinning, right? It's called a Krebs cycle. Every time this motor makes one revolution, it has two choices. It can either make 2 units of energy, or it can make 32 units of energy. Which would you rather have? 32. Yes, you guys would all pass my class. So 32 units of energy. You know what the difference is between 2 ATP and 32 ATP? The presence of oxygen. There's a theme here. Right? The presence of oxygen. So if I can get more oxygen into my blood and then I can use products that are methylated to help that oxygen get into my cell, I can not only push disease off, I can push off death, I can increase my health span, I can increase my waking energy, I can deepen my delta wave of sleep, I can improve my response to exercise, I can even improve my short-term memory, my cognitive recall. That is a fact. Right? You know, the United States still remains one of the few countries, civilized nations in the world, continuing to call Alzheimer's and dementia. Most countries call it what it is. It's type 3 diabetes. You're welcome to Google it. You'll see Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, Kellogg University, Berkeley University, National Institute of Medicine, National Library of Health. This is not my opinion. So, if we know that type 3 diabetes is early onset Alzheimer's, and that the myth about people losing their memory and losing their cognitive function is not true, people in the early stages don't lose their memory, they lose access to their memory, then maybe we'd be really excited about the mission of well-being and the number of lives that we can change, you know? So without getting into a whole bunch of spiritual mumbo-jumbo, because I know I wasn't brought on the stage to talk about spirituality, but lately as a researcher and a scientist, I have gotten deep into the study of the spiritual side of human beings. And I got an audience that likes that. All right. Yeah. I like you guys. I like you guys. You know, I used to not believe in the universal law of attraction. I was one of those people. I was a scientist. Hey, look, I've been in research for 22 years. You got to prove it. You got to show me. All right. I believe in gravity because I've jumped off a roof before. All right. So I don't need to see that. I did not believe in the universal law of attraction until I found a physical law called constructive interference. It's as valid as the law of gravity. It says that if 2 frequencies of equal wavelength meet, the size of the frequency doubles, which means that you can get energy from conversation, which means you can get energy from what I'm telling you right now. How many of you are feeling that energy? Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's real. It's real. And so not only can you get energy from conversation, but there's something now called the Spain scale of emotion. You're welcome to Google it, S-P-A-N-E. If you do not believe in the universal law of attraction, you will when you read this clinical study. What they were able to do was isolate the frequency leaving a human being's body with such accuracy that they could tell the difference between passion and elation and joy and arousal and despair and anger and jealousy. Not just that you were upset or you were happy, but that you were passionate or elated, that you were jealous or you were in despair. And they isolated these frequencies, and they realized that the highest frequency that can leave your body. Does anyone know what emotional state emits the highest frequency that can leave a human being's body? Love, close? Lights? It is the frequency of authenticity. Authenticity. Do you know when you're authentic? When your words are truthful and you believe what you're saying. So if your words are truthful and you believe what you're saying. And so if you understand how the universe works, you understand that the word wealth is actually derived from the word well-being. So if your mission is to impact someone's well-being, then the universe will bring you wealth. So if you want to be wealthy, focus on the products and what they do for the people that you can put them on. Think about what you can do to impact someone's well-being, and you will be wealthy. Woo! I love you guys. You guys are great. Yes. I am on a major tangent and never go down the science rabbit hole and just blew my entire speech out of the water, but I love you guys. I love you guys. A big giant cyber hug going on right now. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Come on, let's get up. Yes. Let's give it up for Shot.com and Market America. Impacting people's well-being. Yes. Making ourselves wealthy by impacting people's well-being. And I know you're itching to...
No, we're good.
Oh, okay.
Look how exciting
she's coming at me, so... And you don't want Dr. D coming at you.
No, you want to come close to this kind of energy, right?
Oh. It's good because you can get energy from conversation. You know, what's amazing is when you guys realize the impact that you can have on people's lives, right? That the presence of oxygen is the absence of disease. And these products, and specifically the ingredients in these products that have been so intelligently crafted to help with this oxygen transport, like Pycnogenol and some of these other ingredients whose names don't mean anything to you. But I can say them because I'm super smart. Right? The intelligence of the way that these things transport oxygen and get it into the cell is just amazing. Okay, so how many of you want to learn how to be just superhuman tomorrow morning?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'll teach you another secret that I learned in the anti-aging and the mortality business. Another one of my one-liners that I believe will impact humanity if you really understand what I'm about to say. And that is that aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort.
It's brilliant.
Aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort. We have got to stop telling grandma not to go outside, it's too cold, not to go outside, it's too hot, just to lay down and relax. We got to stop eating at the first pang of hunger. Hunger is good for you. When you are hungry, you are motivated. When you're hungry, you are clear, you are focused. It is fine to be hungry, right? It is okay to be cold. It is okay to be hot. And by the way, it is okay to interact with other human beings.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. If you don't load a bone, it won't strengthen. If you don't tear a muscle, it won't grow. If you don't challenge the immune system, it will weaken. Period. So, wow, I just made all this up and it's sounding really good. So what I want to tell you is that knowing that aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort, how can we fight that aggressive pursuit of comfort? We're all going to do it tomorrow, right? We're going to get uncomfortable a little bit in the morning. So the first thing we're going to do is I don't want you to change a thing about your routine. If you have coffee, whatever products you take, I want you to drink your coffee and take your products. But I'm going to teach you how to breathe for 8 minutes, right? I'm going to teach you breathing techniques. How many of you ever heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman?
Yeah.
Right? He proved you could change the oxygen tension in your tissues to the extent where you could push so much oxygen into your tissues that you wouldn't have hydrogen and therefore couldn't form a water molecule, which means you couldn't get frostbite. So they packed him in ice up to his neck for 2 hours, and his fingertip didn't change 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Why? Because he learned how to breathe like this. Anyone want to learn how to do it? All right. Okay, so we're going to do this tomorrow. I want you to work your way up to 3 rounds of 30 breaths. Today, we're going to do 3 rounds of 5 breaths. It's okay if you get lightheaded. It's okay if you get warm under your chin. It's okay if you get a little tingling and numbness in your fingers and toes. That's normal. Okay, so sit comfortably. Put your hands on your dude, I love you guys. I did not see this coming. I had a bunch of big words. I wanted to say methylene tetrahydrofolase reductase. I practiced it backstage. But we're going down the rabbit hole. Let's do this. So we're going to put our hands on our legs, and then what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in really deep, and then you're going to relax. You're not going to breathe that excess air out. Okay? We're going to do this 5 times. When we get to the 5th breath, you're going to hold your breath after you've exhaled with your tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth. When you can't hold your breath anymore, you're going to breathe in, and you're going to hold with your tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth. And then you're going to slowly let that breath out, and we're going to do it again. We're going to do it 3 times. When we're done, your mood is going to be elevated into the most elevated emotional state you've felt in a long time. You ready? Okay, let's do this. All right? Don't get a cheap breath. Starting to feel a little bit lightheaded. Okay, let's go to round 2. Ready? Tongue against the roof of your mouth. Last one. Ready? How many of you feel calm, zen, right? You've just changed the oxygen tension in your tissues. The difference between anger and passion is oxygen in one neurotransmitter. The difference between depression and happiness is one neurotransmitter and oxygen. You know, I was looking at your neural formula, the neural focus. Super impressed that you guys are actually going after raw materials in the human body as a way to help humanity, right? Because we had another saying in mortality that the absence of dopamine was the presence of addiction. The absence of dopamine was the presence of addiction. We found that people that had a difficult time producing the natural neurotransmitter dopamine had struggled a lifetime with depression. And if you know anybody who's ever been depressed, or you've ever been depressed yourself, or had an addiction, you know that addiction has a tendency to shift, right? It goes from drug and alcohol to gambling, from gambling to sex addiction, from sex addiction to working out. It has a tendency to shift, never go away. And I feel despair for these people. I used to feel a lot of empathy for these people until I realized that we could change it by helping them put that neurotransmitter back in their body. Right? They didn't have to be on antidepressants, and they didn't have to go through shock therapies. They just had to give their body the raw material that it needed to do its job. Because even in the medical records of patients that we would review, we found very few people that were addicted that were actually seeking a high. Most of them were seeking normalcy. And in their search for normalcy, they became addicted. And now they were running from a low, not running towards a high. So the fact that you could make that kind of impact on humanity, I promise you the universe is going to reward you greater than you can imagine. I know we got 2 minutes left.
You fine?
She's like, just go. So guys, that's the way that we take the kindling, which is all the products and the raw materials that you have, and we douse it with gasoline. Now, you want to throw the match on it? Because, I mean, we're there already. I've already blown my speech, and I got a minute and 57 seconds left, so we might as well light this thing up. So I tell people that if you want to be superhuman, you want to add 7 years to your life and add a long time to your health span, you want to do 3 things in the morning. You want to breathe. You want to apply a thermal stress. You want to apply a physical stress. So what we just did was breathe. And you took those products. Now I'm going to tell you that what you want to do is apply a thermal stress. What do I mean by a thermal stress? How can you thermally stress the body?
Sauna, cold shower.
Cold shower, or dry sauna, or an infrared sauna. Do you know what happens to the body when you actually push it to high temperatures or really low temperatures? It panics. Your liver has a specialized set of proteins that it can supply an endless amount of. Every single day of your life, you can kick your liver into survival mode, and it can dump what's called heat shock or cold shock proteins into your bloodstream. Google this. I'm not making it up. I feel like I'm making it up, but I'm not. Heat shock and cold shock proteins will take the synthesis of these products and put them through the roof. It will literally throw the match on the pile of kindling doused in gasoline. So tomorrow, every one of you has access to a cold shower, right? Tomorrow, every one of you has access to a cold shower. Set a timer if you have to. Turn the shower as cold as it will get. Get in your birthday suit. Let the water run. And then I want you to just step into that water stream. And I want you to deal with it.
Yep.
Deal with it. For 1 minute. Work your way up to 3 minutes, eventually work your way up to 6 minutes. I promise you, taking your products, breathing for 8 minutes, and taking a 6-minute cold shower would become your drug of choice for the rest of your life, because you will get out of that shower in such an elevated emotional state, in a passionate state, and every little thing that happens to you during the day will become a minor stress. Guys, thank you so much. You've been an amazing audience.